This story isn't just about a house, it's about betrayal, identity, and one woman's unwavering fight for the truth. When a high-ranking military officer returns home after 25 years of service, she expects a welcome. Instead, she finds herself treated like a stranger by her own family. What unfolds is a gripping battle not on foreign soil but in courtrooms, basements, and the silence of betrayal. This is a story of how one piece of paper turned into a war that shook everything. Asterisk. My name is Tamzen Lockach. For 25 years, I served in Cyber Command, eventually becoming a lieutenant colonel. My life revolved around digital warfare, encrypted codes, silent threats, invisible enemies. I'd taken down terrorist plots, secured breached systems, and spoken in classified briefings before senators who didn't even understand the acronyms I used daily. But nothing in all those years prepared me for what it felt like to be unwelcome on the very doorstep of the house my grandfather built with his hands. It was late September. I had just stepped out of the cab, the weight of my discharge papers still fresh in my bag. The porch light was on, flickering like it used to when I was a kid, a signal of home. But now it felt more like an interrogation beam. Delilah, my sister, answered the intercom. Her voice was cold and sharp. "I'm calling the police," she said without hesitation. At first I assumed she was joking. Then I noticed her fingers hovering over her phone, already dialing. "You can't. Just show up here," she snapped. "This isn't your home anymore. You left? You disappeared?" "I just got back from service," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "She doesn't want to see you," Delilah replied flatly. "Neither does Dad." Then came the blow. "You're not in the will. You're not even on the deed."
10.
Minutes later, a police car pulled up. One officer was young, the other older, ex-military by the look of his busket. He hesitated slightly when he saw me in uniform. "Lieutenant Colonel Lockach?" he asked. I nodded. "This property is under the ownership of Delilah Thatcher and Richard Lockach," the younger officer explained. "There's no legal record showing your access here." The gate clicked shut behind me. And just like that, I realized I was no longer fighting enemies abroad. This was war, but this time, it was personal. I didn't leave. I parked a couple of blocks away and sat in my car all night, my coat zipped up to my chin. The house stood still in the distance. The same house where I once learned Morse code from Grandpa. Where I climbed trees and believed family meant forever. Now it had a for sale private listing sign crooked in the lawn where Grandma's hydrangeas used to bloom. I stared at that sign until the letters blurred. I hadn't cried in years, not during deployment, not during losses, not even coming home to an empty apartment. But that night, I felt something inside me give way. They had scrubbed me from my own history. And no one seemed to care. Morning came. I stayed in the car, watching lights turn on inside the house. Then I saw my father, his posture unchanged, still commanding without trying. He didn't look toward the street. I checked my phone. Only one unread message. No name. No warmth. Just one line. "Return to base. There's nothing here for you." But I wasn't returning anywhere. Not without a fight. By 9 a.m., I was seated in a corner booth at a small cafe off Jefferson. Across from me sat Ruth Clay. We had known each other from college, lost touch after careers pulled us apart. She didn't waste time on pleasantries. She slid a tablet toward me. "Thought you'd want to see this," she said, on the screen. A real estate listing. My grandfather's address, now under a corporate shell, Raven Crest Holdings LLC. I never signed anything, I muttered. I know, Ruth replied. She tapped again, pulling up the property transfer. My name Tamzen Lockach was forged on the seller's line. That's not my signature. I know, she said again. But we're going to prove it. That's when my battle got a shaped Ruth, sharp and steady, pulled records document after document. A suspended notary from the DMV showed up. On my fake deed, same signature. They didn't just steal the house, I said. They had a plan. They executed it clean, Ruth confirmed. Delilah had told me I wasn't in the will. But my grandfather had promised the house to me, out. Loud, face to face, the day before he died. I never saw the paperwork, I admitted. Ruth handed me a new will, filed a month after his death. Everything was left to Dad and Delilah. That's not right. Then we'll find the original, she said. I've got digital backups, I said. Maybe even his video journal. Perfect. Ruth nodded. Any inconsistency in timestamps, signatures, or witnesses, we have enough to take them to court. They had erased me. But I had a pen too, and I was ready to rewrite the truth. The next day, Ruth pulled utility records on the house. There's something strange, she said. Power usage off the charts. Like someone's running industrial equipment in the basement. No permits, no renovations, no licenses. But massive, sustained energy use. I need to see it, I told her. That night, I went back. No plan, just instinct. At around 10:45 p.m., a man appeared across the street. Mid-40s, baseball cap. Casual stance, no eye contact. When he left, I found a note tucked under my windshield. One line typed in all caps. If you're really Tamzen, meet me at alley. 9:11 p.m. come alone. I didn't hesitate. The alley was dim and quiet.
He was already waiting, grease-stained jacket, faded Marine Corps tattoo. I knew your grandfather, he said. Name's Ethan. I fix cars down at McCrae's.
He had lived in the area long enough to know something was wrong. Your sister's been telling people. You're unstable, PTSD, combat trauma. I didn't react. I've seen men unloading crates at night, Ethan continued. No plates. Always black vans. Same guy every time, tall gloves, never speaks. Brian? Yeah, her husband. What's in the crates? Not furniture, that's for sure. The boxes go into the basement and the power spikes. That night I returned. Dressed in black, camera clipped to my collar. At 12:30 a.m., 2 trucks pulled into the alley. 4 men emerged. Brian was one. Of them, I filmed everything: faces, timestamps, movements. I couldn't get inside, but I found a vent with an audio path. Inside, I heard voices. If the officer finds out, cut the tie. I recognized the voice. Slow, gravel-lined. My father, he. Wasn't just aware. He was orchestrating it. I backed away, heart pounding. But I had evidence now. And the war had a voice. His dot by morning, the recorder was gone. The vent was clean. They knew I'd been there. And they were watching back. Later that day, I got a message. No name, just, you're playing with fire. I have your psych file. Want to know what it says? They were trying to intimidate me. But they picked the wrong soldier. I sent it to Ruth and Isaac Ng, an old friend from Cyber Command. Within minutes, he was online. Pull everything, he said. We build the chain now. That night, my apartment became a battlefield. Drives, backups, encrypted logs. They weren't memories anymore. They were ammunition. Kayla, Ruth's. Forensic contact. Joined via voice-masked Zoom. Nice encryption, she said. Let's see what they missed. She found hidden metadata, forged timestamps, Shell transactions. Brian's logistics firm. Delilah's accounts. Midnight wire transfers. Then Isaac froze. Your dad's signature is on a leasing contract for warehouse storage. He hadn't just known. He'd signed off on all of it. We're filing. An injunction, Ruth said. Fraud, forgery, conspiracy. 2 days later, we returned to the house. No more hiding. No more circling the block. I wore my uniform. Not for them to remind myself who I was. Delilah opened the door, smile rehearsed. It vanished when she saw the papers. You're being served, Ruth said. Effective immediately. All assets are frozen. Brian stepped forward. You don't know who you're fighting, he warned. I do, I replied. A fraudster, an accomplice, and a coward hiding behind my name. In court, the evidence spoke for itself. My voice was steady. They stole my identity, my home, and used my military clearance to profit. The judge agreed. Delilah, 6 years. Brian, 8. My father, 10. No parole. Outside, reporters waited. Veterans nodded as I passed. One reached out. Colonel Lockach, he said. You reminded them we still stand. Weeks later, I visited the Defense Service Library. On the Wall of Honor, my name was etched in stone. Colonel Tamzen Lockach. Cyber Command, they tried to erase me. But I reclaimed more than just a house. I reclaimed my name, my truth, my place. This story reminds us that sometimes the greatest battles happen not on distant shores, but within our own homes. We learn that truth has power, that identity matters, and that no matter how deeply they try to bury your name, you can rise stronger and unshaken. What would you have done in Tamzen's place? Let us know in the comments. And remember, your silence can be stolen, but your voice is your weapon. Use it.